What if the only thing standing between you and your biggest dreams isn't a lack of talent or resources, but simply your way of thinking? Welcome to Bookish Mind, Season '09, Episode '06, where we unlock the profound insights from Chapter 6 of John C. Maxwell's game-changing book, How Successful People Think, on the incredible power of possibility thinking.
Yeah.
This deep dive, it's really all about embracing a mindset that consistently looks for solutions, even when things seem completely, utterly impossible.
That really is the core of it. Maxwell's point is that people who develop this possibility thinking,
Hmm.
they aren't necessarily like smarter or anything. They just believe solutions exist, no matter how tough the challenge looks. Kind of reminds me of that Sam Ewing quote, nothing is so embarrassing as watching someone do something that you said could not be done.
Ouch. Yeah, that hits home.
Right. So today, we're going to explore not just why this way of thinking is so powerful, but also, some really practical steps, things you can actually do to build this mindset yourself, even if you're not naturally, say, an optimist. It's about making a conscious choice, really.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If we're talking about a mindset that can, unlock the impossible,
Hmm.
what are the real benefits here? Why should we actively try to cultivate this possibility thinking in our lives? What's the actual payoff?
Well, I think the most direct benefit, the first one, is that possibility thinking literally increases your possibilities. That sounds a bit obvious, maybe, but think about it. When you refuse to accept that something's too hard and you actually pull it off, you suddenly see all these new paths, new opportunities you wouldn't have even imagined before.
Right, right. And there's a great example of this, isn't there? George Lucas and the first Star Wars movie. He had this vision for special effects that, well, pretty much everyone in the industry at the time said were impossible, couldn't be done. But he believed they could be.
Exactly. And because Lucas pushed through that wall of impossible, he actually created industrial light and magic, ILM, to make those effects happen. The impact was just huge. ILM didn't just do the impossibles for Star Wars. It became this massive revenue stream, funding other projects, driving innovation across the whole film world. And then you had the merchandising, another totally new model that funded his work for years. Chris Salovich, the writer, even said, George Lucas has dictated for 2 decades the essential broad notion of what is cinema.
Wow.
It just shows, believing you can do something really hard doesn't just open one door for you. It can literally change the game for everyone. It creates whole new realities.
That's such a powerful point, that thinking big doesn't just forge paths for you, but it actually draws opportunities and people to you.
Mm.
The Lucas story really underlines that. Visionaries attract other big thinkers, other builders.
And that leads right into the second reason.
Yeah.
Possibility thinking draws opportunities and people to you. It's magnetic in a way.
Okay, makes sense.
And third, it ripples outward even further. Possibility thinking increases other people's possibilities too. It's contagious. When you're around people who believe things are possible, who are looking for solutions, it kind of rubs off, doesn't it? It boosts your confidence. It encourages everyone around them to think bigger, aim higher. It's like an infectious optimism.
Okay, now this next one, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Reason 4. Possibility thinking allows you to dream big dreams. This feels like it goes beyond just solving problems. It's about, like, fundamentally changing the scale of what you even consider for your future.
Absolutely. Professor David J. Schwartz, who wrote a lot about this, he believed that big thinkers are specialists in creating positive, forward-looking, optimistic pictures in their own minds and in the minds of others.
Mm-hmm.
When you genuinely start thinking in terms of possibilities, your dreams don't just get slightly bigger, they can transform. What seemed like a little molehill can suddenly look like a mountain you can actually climb.
Mm.
And just holding that belief, that big picture in your mind, it sort of primes you to start moving towards it. It prepares the way mentally.
And the 5th reason, this is a really compelling one. Possibility thinking makes it possible to rise above average. There's that great story from the 70s auto industry. Oil prices were spiking, right? And car companies were desperate to make cars way more fuel efficient, which meant making them much, much lighter. So one company gave this challenge to their top senior engineers.
Right. And these experienced engineers, they crunched the numbers, they did the analysis, and they came back saying basically, nope, can't be done.
Mm.
Too expensive, safety issues, all the reasons why it was impossible based on their experience. They were stuck in what Maxwell calls average thinking. Their past knowledge limited their view of the future.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and this is the key part way, the company gave the exact same challenge to a group of less experienced engineers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And this younger group, they didn't have all that baggage, all those years of knowing what supposedly couldn't be done. They assumed it was possible. And because they thought it was possible, they found ways. They managed to cut hundreds of pounds from the car designs. They didn't know it was impossible, so he did it.
That's incredible.
It really highlights the insight, doesn't it? Every time you mentally take that impossible label off something, your potential just skyrockets from average to, well, off the charts. It's about ditching those preconceived limits.
So if it helps us break free from average thinking, what does this do for our actual, get up and go, our motivation? Reason 6 says, possibility thinking gives you energy.
Yeah, there's a very direct link. Think about it. Does anyone feel energized thinking about something they're sure is going to fail? If you've already decided in your head that something's a lost cause, how much real effort are you going to put in? Not much, right? Nobody gets excited about investing time and energy into failure.
True, very true.
But the second you genuinely believe, hey, this could actually work, that belief itself creates energy. It sparks something. It's the conviction that fuels the drive, the willingness to put in the hours, the resources. It activates you because you see a potential path to success.
Which leads perfectly into the final reason, number 7. Possibility thinking keeps you from giving up. This kind of ties it all together. Dennis Waitley, author of The Psychology of Winning, he put it really starkly. The winners in life think constantly in terms of I can, I will, and I am. Losers, on the other hand, concentrate their waking thoughts on what they should have done or what they don't do.
That's so profound and so true. If you think you can't, the battle's lost before you even start. It's over in your mind. But if you really, truly believe you can, well, you've already won a huge part of the fight right there. We saw this so powerfully with former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani after 9/11. In that absolute chaos, he didn't just manage the crisis. He projected this sense of confidence, of possibility.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he actually talked later about how in the immediate aftermath, he was searching for a historical parallel. Like, how do you lead a city through that? His mind went straight to Winston Churchill during the Blitz in London, 1940, how Churchill kept Londoners' spirits up, kept them believing, even under constant bombing.
That's quite a comparison to draw in that moment.
It is. And get this, the book mentions that 16 hours after the towers fell, like at 2:30 in the morning, Giuliani finally got back to his apartment. But he didn't sleep. Instead, he picked up a biography of Churchill, specifically looking for the World War II chapters. He was actively seeking that inspiration, learning how Churchill helped people see possibilities and just keep going.
Wow. So he literally used a historical example of possibility thinking to fuel his own leadership in a crisis.
Exactly. Decades later, applying those same principles, it just underscores the enduring power of believing things are possible, even in the absolute darkest times.
Okay, but I suspect a lot of people listening might be thinking, well, that's great, but I'm not a naturally positive person. I tend to see the problems first. I lean towards cynicism. Is possibility thinking just for the optimists? Can someone like that actually learn this?
That is the crucial question, isn't it? And the answer is absolutely yes. Think about it this way. How many truly successful people do you know who are just constantly negative? Who always say, it can't be done? Probably none, right? People stuck in that impossible mindset, they really only have two choices.
Yeah.
Keep expecting the worst and, well, getting it, or actively decide to change how they think.
So that's a choice.
It's a choice. Even George Lucas, our big example earlier, he actually admitted, I'm very cynical, and as a result, I think the defense I have against it is to be optimistic. See? He's saying he chooses optimism. It's a conscious strategy against his natural tendency. He even said, as corny as it sounds, the power of positive thinking goes a long way.
That's actually really encouraging if he had to consciously choose it.
Exactly. It's not some innate trait you either have or you don't. It's a skill you can develop. If he can make that choice, so can you.
Okay, so if it is a choice, a skill, where do we start? What are the practical steps, especially if it feels, kind of unnatural at first?
Right. The very first step, the foundational one, is simple, but maybe not easy. Stop focusing on the impossibilities. It means consciously catching yourself when you start mentally listing all the reasons something won't work, or focusing only on what's wrong with the situation. Bob Rotella, the sports psychologist, put it really well. He said something like, if you don't want to get into positive thinking, that's okay. Just eliminate all the negative thoughts from your mind and whatever's left will be fine.
Huh. I like that. Just get rid of the negative static. So for those of us where it's not automatic, it means becoming your own sort of mental coach, right? When that negative voice starts up, this will never work because... You have to consciously step in, tell yourself, nope, don't go there. And then crucially pivot. Ask yourself, okay, what is right about this? What could work here? That little shift, it can start to rewire things.
Mm.
And maybe, if it's really tough, you could even ask a friend or partner to gently call you out when you drift into that it's impossible zone.
That's a great idea. Accountability helps. Okay, the second practical suggestion is stay away from the experts, or at least be cautious.
Oh, tell me more about that. Seems counterintuitive.
Well, sometimes the people who know the most about a field, the real specialists, can accidentally become roadblocks to new ideas. Their deep knowledge of what has been done or what hasn't worked before can sometimes make it hard for them to see completely new possibilities. It can create blind spots. Wernher von Braun, the rocket scientist, he learned this. He said, "I have learned to use the word impossible with the greatest of caution." And Napoleon famously declared, "The word impossible is not in my dictionary."
Right. They understood that impossible often just means nobody's tried it this way yet.
Exactly.
There's that quote, too, John Andrew Holmes. Never tell a young person that something cannot be done. God may have been waiting centuries for somebody ignorant enough of the impossible to do that thing.
Powerful, isn't it? It's a reminder to give yourself and others permission to believe, even when the experts are shaking their heads.
Okay, so stop focusing on impossibilities. Be wary of experts. What's next?
Third suggestion, look for possibilities in every situation. This is more active than just avoiding the negative. It's about deliberately scanning any situation, no matter how messy or difficult, for the upside, for the potential.
And there's that fantastic story about Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, right? From Don Soderquist. Walton went to check out a competitor store.
Yes, Soderquist tells this story. They walk into this store in Huntsville, Alabama, and Soderquist just thinks it's the worst place he's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like total disaster, dirty, cluttered, empty shelves, no staff around. Awful. So he goes outside and tells Walton how terrible it was. But Walton, the ultimate possibility thinker, his reaction was totally different. He immediately asks, "Don, did you see the pantyhose rack?" Soderquist is like, no. Walton says, "The best one I've ever seen. Get the manufacturer's name."
He saw opportunity in the middle of the mess.
Totally. Then he asks, "Did you see the ethnic cosmetics section?" Again, Soderquist missed it. Walton points out they had 12 feet of shelf space for it, while Walmart only had 4. Instantly saw a way Walmart could improve its own offering. Walton wasn't trying to be difficult. He just naturally looked for the good, the potential, even in a failing store. He was always looking for ideas to apply. It shows it's about attitude, about where you choose to focus.
That story always makes me think, are we dreaming big enough? Which ties into the fourth suggestion, dream one size bigger.
Yes, this is a big one. Most people, frankly, dream too small. We limit ourselves right from the start by not thinking big enough about what could actually be possible. There's a quote from Henry Curtis. "Make your plans as fantastic as you like because 25 years from now, they will seem mediocre." He goes on, "Make your plans 10 times as great. 25 years from now, you will wonder why you did not make them 50 times as great."
Wow. Okay, so push the boundaries of your own imagination.
Exactly. If you intentionally set your goals just a little bit beyond what feels totally comfortable or realistic right now, you force yourself to stretch, to grow into that bigger vision. And that growth makes even bigger dreams seem possible later on. It builds capacity.
Makes sense. And number 5.
Fifth suggestion. Question the status quo. Look, most of us want things to get better, right? We want improvement, but we also like feeling comfortable, secure. The problem is, you can't really improve and stay exactly the same. Growth always means change. And real change always involves challenging the way things are done now. If you want to reach for bigger possibilities, you just can't be satisfied with good enough or how we've always done it. Possibility thinkers refuse to just accept the current reality as the final word.
And that can be tough, right? Challenging the status quo often means facing resistance from people who like things just the way they are.
Absolutely. But you need to remember, as you start pushing those boundaries for yourself or your team or your family, remember that other possibility thinkers all over the world are doing the same thing right now. They're working on curing diseases, finding new energy sources, feeding people, improving lives. They are questioning the status quo every single day. So you're in good company. We encourage you to do the same.
That's inspiring. Okay, final suggestion.
The sixth and final one is find inspiration from great achievers. We've talked about Lucas, Walton, Giuliani. But find your own heroes. Study the lives of people who made a real impact, people you admire. Doesn't matter the field business, science, arts, community work. Dig into their stories. How did they overcome obstacles? How do they keep believing? Look for people who embody that spirit Robert F. Kennedy talked about, quoting George Bernard Shaw. Some men see things as they are and say, why? I dream of things that never were and say, why not?
Why not? That really captures it, doesn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, the core message seems to be, well, pretty simple but profound. People who believe they can't generally don't, but if you believe you can, well, then you actually can. That really is the power of possibility thinking.
Absolutely. So the question to leave everyone with, the thinking question from Maxwell himself, is this: am I unleashing the enthusiasm of possibility thinking to find solutions for even seemingly impossible situations?
Hmm.
Really ask yourself that. Are you actively looking for the how, or are you getting stuck on the why not?
A fantastic question to reflect on. We really hope you take these ideas, apply them to whatever challenges or dreams you're facing, and start actively looking for and creating those possibilities. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.